Good morning. We will pay attention to prepaid expense today. The following information appeared in the trial balance on the last day of the financial year, 30 April 2015, and the total amount for insurance is 10,640. So it means that in your insurance account you have a balance of 10,640. And this balance is after all the payments that we made during the year. So every time we paid, we said bank credit, insurance debit. Now remember, the end of the financial year is 30 April 2015. So the beginning of the year was 1 May 2014. If we look at the information here, they say that the insurance increased on the 1st of January 2015 from 800 Rand to 848 Rand. So that means if we paid 1 month in advance, the insurance expense must be credited to decrease the expense so that we can take the actual expense only for the 12 months in the financial year to the profit and loss. Because I credit the insurance expense account, I will debit prepaid expense and create an asset so that this amount will appear in the balance sheet under current assets. If we do the journal entry for this, we will say that prepaid expense must be debited to create an asset. Insurance expense is credited to reduce the expense. On the first day of the next financial year, we have to do a reverse entry. So we must cancel this prepaid expense. At the moment, it has a balance on the debit side. So if I want to close the account, I must credit prepaid expense and I must debit the insurance expense account. So it means that if we look at our ledger account, we can see for the current year, that is year 2, 848 Rand was already paid. What did we do in year 1? We took the amount that was paid, we worked out what was the amount that must go to the profit and loss, so we actually calculated a balancing figure, and there we bring down that balancing figure at the beginning of the next financial year. If we want to calculate and to determine if the amount is really 848, we can say that on the 1st of May 2014, the first day of the financial year, up to the 31st of December, was 8 months that the amount was 800 Rand, so that gives me 6,400. Then we paid up to the end of April, 4 months times 848 gives me 3,392. So the total amount is the amount that must go to the profit and loss, and that is the figure that we showed there for the profit and loss. The expense that we paid was the 10,640 minus the amount that must go to the profit and loss. So my prepaid expense is 848 Rand. What did we learn? When the expense was prepaid, the amount paid in advance for the next financial year must be determined at the end of the year, so that we can decrease the expense to the actual expense for the year, because only the expense for the current year must be transferred to the profit and loss so that we can determine what is the profit for the year. We will create an asset for prepaid expenses. This asset will be recorded in the balance sheet as a current asset to show that we've now already paid expense that was only supposed to be paid in the next financial year. On the first day of the next financial year, we will reverse that original entry and we will debit the expense account and we will credit prepaid expenses.